Switching back to an iPhone after 10 years on Android felt a little bit wrong. Then it felt really easy. And then it started to feel a little bit limiting. I bought the iPhone 17 Pro Max and used it for around a month as my normal phone, my daily driver. And here's what actually surprised me. Because it isn't really about the specs at all. It's about how much thinking your phone asks you to do on a daily basis. Coming from an Android flagship, you get really used to control. You can change pretty much everything. Notifications, file saving behaviors, and even small tiny tweaks to how you get around the operating system. The phone adapts to you. So when you switch to an iPhone, you expect the exact opposite. Less control, more restrictions, but a cleaner polish. And honestly, I expected to miss the Android almost immediately. But that's not what happened. The first thing I noticed wasn't performance. It was consistency. Face ID was instant. The camera was always ready and took really great shots when I needed it to. And the apps, well, they just behaved as they were meant to. Consistency. Even the simple things like sharing a file via AirDrop, chef's kiss. It just works. No friction, no thinking required. And that's where my iPhone 17 Pro Max really stood out. Not because it can do any more or less than any other flagship, but because it asks less of you. So before we go any further, let's just ground ourselves and let's talk about the iPhone Pro Max for a moment. I've got it here in front of me. It's fairly light, it's really well built. I really love how it feels in my hands, and it's surprisingly light in my pocket as well. The screen is absolutely phenomenal. I love the way that my pictures look on this, and it's got a lovely refresh as well, up to 120 Hz ProMotion display. The iPhone Pro Max is Apple's absolute flagship this year. And on paper, it is exactly what you would expect. You've got the new A19 Pro chip. It's faster than last year, but you won't really notice it on a day-to-day, so I don't really think it's too important. Apps open instantly. Everything is very smooth when you're going through the operating system. But honestly, phones have been fast enough for a while now. And any new phone you get is gonna practically feel the same. They're all very smooth, very quick, very responsive. This is more about efficiency than raw speed. Better battery life. This phone has lasted me consistently a day and a half with heavy use, 2 days if I'm using it a little bit lighter. Less heat, I never really have felt it heat up, especially even I've been playing PUBG on it and I never really feel the heat too much. And it's just very consistent over time. The camera has been upgraded again. It's got much better low light performance now. And you can actually even simulate the aperture change as well now. So it can actually go down to, I think, a 2.0 f-stop, which is quite interesting and really does help the low light performance. The video is really very stable at all times, including nighttime. And there is a more natural image processing layer on top, but I found it doesn't quite nail skin tones. It does very well though. And then there's the big push of this year, which is AI. Apple is bringing more on-device intelligence to the iPhones, smarter suggestions, better photo organization, stuff like that. But it's not really in your face like some of the other competitors. It just sort of quietly improves the way things work, but I really think you'll enjoy this upgrade. And that's the kind of feel of this phone. Nothing feels revolutionary at all, but everything does feel quite refined. If you're upgrading, you're not going to do it because of these new features. You're buying a smoother version of something that you already probably understand. And that's when the experience starts to matter more than the specs. Because after a few days, I started reaching for things on Android that I used to be able to do, and they weren't there. Not the big features, just the small things, the minute controls that I used to have. And those gaps don't feel like missing features, but they do feel like slight interruptions into how I would like to work on my phone. And that is the difference here between these two flagship phones, the Samsung and the iPhone Pro Max. The iPhone removes decisions and the Android gives them to you. The Samsung gives you control and power, but with great power comes great responsibility. On the iPhone, you just don't have to think about anything. It's kind of great. On an iPhone, you have to trust the system, but on Android, you can make everything better or personalize it as to how you would like to use the phone, but you have to manage it. The better phone isn't the more powerful one. It's the one that matches how much thinking you want to do every day. So what are some of the real life differences then? Well, for one thing, notifications. On Samsung, you can customize everything. Priorities, categorization, behavior per app. You can make it perfect or personalize it to your taste. On an iPhone, you either accept it or mute everything. File management is another one. On an Android, I love it because you can download a file, manipulate it, change it, and send it anywhere, rename it as well if you'd like. On an iPhone, you can do it, but not quite. You're working within the confines of the iOS system, not shaping the system itself. And the home screen. Nothing shouts Android more than the home screen, because you can completely customize it with widgets and apps and different shapes and sizes and all the rest of it. But with an iPhone home screen, you can just have the one layout, and that's kind of it. That is what you're stuck to. You can't optimize it or change it in any which way you want. You are very rigidly set to what Apple expects you to do with that phone and how it's meant to look. And there's really good reason for why Apple phones feel like this. They're almost never first to build, design, or create anything actually. They weren't first with the wireless headphones, and I know, haven't released the foldable phone yet, but they will soon, and they weren't first to that either. But when they do enter the market, they remove all friction. AirPods are a really great example here. They weren't a new technology, they just removed all the friction associated with it. And there was a lot of friction before with wireless headphones. They wouldn't connect properly, you couldn't get them to connect to your phone and your laptop, you couldn't get seamless call switching. So Apple sort of saw that, thought about it, see how they could integrate it into their ecosystem, and then did it perfectly. Executed it to a T. No setup, no thinking. And that same philosophy is baked into the iPhone as well. A big reason the iPhone feels so smooth to use is control. Not user control, system control. Apple builds everything, the chip, the processor, the phone, the screen even, and it's all aligned. With Android, even on something really premium like the Samsung, you're working with a whole plethora of different companies building different chips, screens, and chassis and all the rest of it, and they sort of combined it all together. So it gives you this fantastic flexibility, but not necessarily the consistency that you might want. The camera is where people expect big differences, but honestly, both are excellent. The iPhone is slightly more consistent, especially for videos. Samsung give you a little bit more flexibility, especially with the zoom. They have a better hardware system for zooming. But in real life, practical terms, you won't really notice anything at all. I've been using the iPhone now for a few weeks. Here are some pictures of a recent birthday party I was at. The video feels fantastic. It's really, really smooth. Wonderful color reproduction, low light pictures as well, came out really, really good. I don't really think there is much in it between these cameras, but you might be able to spot something here on screen that I can't see. So drop it down in the comments if you know which camera you like a little bit better. So after switching back, here's what I realized. The trade-off isn't better versus worse. It's less thinking or more control. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is much calmer to use every day. The Samsungs are much more flexible though in how you can use them, but it requires you to think a lot more, especially on a day-to-day basis. So which one is actually better? Well, that depends entirely on you and how you like to use tech. Do you want to optimize everything, or do you want to just stop thinking about it and crack on with your day? Because this isn't just about phones. It's the same reason I actually switched to a Mac as well. Not for the performance, but for much less friction. And once you see that, and especially live it, you can't unsee it. But for those actually wondering if I kept the iPhone or not, I am indeed actually going to return it. I just like my personal phone having that extra element of control. Whereas on my work laptop, I prefer it to remove all friction. That's just how I like to use tech.